The massive ship hung in space like a metal moon, its hull stretching for miles in every direction. Inside the command center, hundreds of aliens worked at glowing panels while holographic displays showed star maps and planetary data. Commander. Voss studied the blue and green world rotating slowly on the main screen. His three eyes focused on the swirling white clouds that covered the planet's surface. "Third planet from the star," reported Lieutenant Cray, his voice carrying the typical clicking sounds of their species. "The inhabitants call it Earth, population approximately 8 billion. Technology level is primitive by our standards." Voss nodded, his scaled head moving in approval. For 200 years, the hegemony had expanded across the galaxy, conquering world after world. Some planets surrendered without a fight when they saw the massive fleet approaching. Others tried to resist but fell within days. Earth would be no different. "What weapons do they possess?" Voss asked, walking closer to the display. The planet looked peaceful from space, with no visible defense stations or orbital weapons. "Crude chemical explosives and basic nuclear devices," Cray replied, pulling up tactical information. "Their most advanced ships cannot even leave their solar system. They have no energy shields, no plasma weapons, no faster-than-light travel. The conquest should take no more than a few hours." The commander studied the data with growing satisfaction. The scouts had spent months observing Earth from hidden positions throughout the solar system. They had intercepted thousands of communications, analyzed military installations, and mapped every major city. The humans appeared to be divided into separate nations that often fought among themselves. They had no unified planetary government and no coordinated defense system. "Their nuclear weapons are interesting," noted Science Officer Drow, pointing to weapon specifications on his screen. "But they are large and slow. Our ships can easily avoid them, and our energy shields can absorb the explosive force." Voss examined the human military data. Their soldiers carried projectile weapons that fired small metal bullets. Their aircraft moved at speeds that seemed incredibly slow compared to hegemony fighters. Their ships floated on water instead of flying through space. It was almost amusing how primitive they were. "What about their population centers?" Voss asked. "How are they defended?" "Poorly," Cray answered. "Most cities have no military protection at all. Their armies are scattered across the planet in small groups. They seem to expect attacks to come from other humans, not from space." The holographic display showed major Earth cities: New York, London, Tokyo, Moscow, Beijing. Each appeared completely vulnerable to orbital bombardment. The humans had built tall structures that reached toward the sky, but none of them contained weapons or shields. They were simply waiting to be destroyed. "Their communications are also primitive," Drow added. "They use radio waves and fiber optic cables. We can jam or intercept any message they try to send. They will not be able to coordinate their defense." Voss felt the familiar excitement that came before each conquest. The hegemony had perfected the art of planetary invasion. First, they would destroy the enemy's ability to communicate. Then they would eliminate major military installations from orbit. Finally, they would land ground forces to secure population centers and accept surrender. "How long since we sent the demand for surrender?" Voss asked. 68 hours, Cray replied. 4 hours remain. The surrender demand had been broadcast in every human language simultaneously. The message was simple: submit to hegemony rule or face complete annihilation. Every human government would have received the transmission. Every military leader would understand the consequences of resistance. "Any response from the planet?" Voss inquired. "Several governments have sent messages," Cray said. "Most are asking for more time to consider the demand. Some are requesting proof of our capabilities. A few are making threats." Voss laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "Threats? What could they possibly threaten us with?" The tactical display showed the hegemony fleet in all its glory. 300 warships surrounded Earth, each one capable of destroying a city with a single blast. The flagship alone carried enough firepower to crack the planet's crust. The humans had nothing that could even scratch their hulls. Their largest nations are trying to contact each other, Drow reported. They appear to be discussing some kind of combined response. Let them talk, Voss said dismissively. It will make no difference. Their weapons cannot reach us, and our shields can stop anything they might fire. The commander walked to the observation deck and looked out at the small blue world below. In a few hours it would belong to the hegemony. The humans would learn. What countless other species had discovered, resistance was futile when facing superior technology and overwhelming force. Sir, Cray called out, we are receiving a transmission from the planet. It appears to be from their military leaders. Put it on the main screen, Voss ordered. The hologram flickered and showed a room filled with humans in military uniforms. They looked exactly as the scouts had described, soft skin, primitive features, and only 2 eyes each. The human who spoke had gray hair and wore a uniform covered in colored ribbons. This is General Thompson of the United Earth Defense Force, the human said. We have received your demand for surrender. Our answer is no. We will defend our world with everything. We have, the transmission ended. Voss stared at the empty screen for a moment before breaking into laughter. The other officers joined him, filling the command center with metallic sounds of amusement. United Earth Defense Force? Voss repeated. They cannot even agree on what? To call their own planet, and they think they can fight us? Should we begin the attack now? Cray asked. No, Voss replied. We gave them 72 hours. We will honor that commitment. It will make the conquest more legitimate in the eyes of the Galactic Council. 4 hours later, the deadline expired. Earth had made its choice. The hegemony fleet powered up its weapons and prepared to demonstrate why the galaxy feared them. The conquest of Earth was about to begin. Commander Voss settled into his command chair and gave the order that would seal humanity's fate. All ships, assume attack formation. Begin orbital bombardment of major population centers. Show these humans what happens when they defy the hegemony. The first plasma bolt struck the ocean 20 miles from New York City, sending a column of superheated steam into the sky. The water boiled instantly, creating a massive crater in the seafloor. The blast was meant to demonstrate hegemony power, without causing immediate casualties. But the humans interpreted it differently. Within minutes, every radar installation on Earth was tracking the alien fleet. Air raid sirens wailed in major cities as millions of people rushed to underground shelters. Military bases went to maximum alert. Nuclear submarines surfaced to receive new orders. The humans were not panicking as expected. They were preparing for war. Sir, the humans are launching aircraft, reported Lieutenant Cray, his voice showing the first hint of confusion. Multiple squadrons from different continents. Commander Voss studied the tactical display. Hundreds of small craft were rising from Earth's surface, their primitive engines leaving trails of fire behind them. They were heading directly toward the hegemony fleet, which hung in orbit like an impenetrable wall of metal and energy. What are they thinking? Voss muttered. Those aircraft cannot even reach us. They appear to be coordinating their attack, Science Officer Dryle observed. Ships from different nations are flying in formation together. This was not predicted in our intelligence reports. The human jets climbed higher than their specifications suggested they could. When they reached the edge of space, they fired missiles that accelerated far beyond what the hegemony had expected. The weapons were crude but numerous, and they were all aimed at the same target, the flagship's docking bay. Impossible, Voss said as the missiles struck their shields. Their weapons should not be able to reach us. The explosions did no damage to the hegemony ship, but they sent a clear message. The humans were not afraid. They were attacking an enemy they knew they could not defeat, simply because surrender was not an option. Begin the second phase, Voss ordered. Deploy fighter squadrons to eliminate their aircraft. Then proceed with ground assault. 300 alien fighters launched from the fleet, each one faster and more advanced than anything in Earth's arsenal. They descended toward the planet like falling stars, their energy weapons charging for the slaughter that would follow, but the humans had prepared for this as well. As the alien fighters entered the atmosphere, they were met by a storm of projectiles fired from electromagnetic railguns hidden in mountain ranges. The weapons hurled metal slugs at incredible speeds, turning the sky into a deadly maze of intersecting trajectories. What are those weapons? Cray demanded as several fighters exploded in bright flashes. Unknown, Draw replied, scanning the energy signatures. They are not in our database. The humans appear to have developed new technology since our last surveillance. The surviving alien fighters engaged the human jets in aerial combat. The hegemony pilots expected an easy victory, but they found themselves fighting an enemy that refused to follow predictable patterns. Human pilots performed impossible maneuvers, sacrificing their own aircraft in ramming attacks that destroyed alien fighters. They coordinated their efforts with ground-based weapons, creating kill zones that trapped the more advanced enemy ships. Sir, we are losing fighters, Cray reported. The humans are using tactics we have never encountered. Voss watched the battle with growing concern. The hegemony had conquered hundreds of worlds, but they had never faced an enemy like this. Most species surrendered when they saw the overwhelming technological advantage. Others fought conventionally and were quickly defeated. The humans were doing something different. They were fighting as if their lives depended on it. Deploy ground forces, Voss commanded. Land at the major population centers. Once we control their cities, they will have no choice but to surrender. Massive troop transports descended from orbit, their hulls glowing from atmospheric entry. They landed in fields outside major cities, releasing thousands of armored soldiers equipped with energy weapons and personal shields. The hegemony ground forces had never lost a battle. They advanced toward the human settlements with confidence, but the humans were waiting for them. As soon as the alien soldiers moved beyond their landing zones, they were attacked from all directions. Human infantry emerged from hidden positions, firing armor-piercing rounds that somehow penetrated alien shields. Explosive devices detonated under alien vehicles, sending metal fragments through their armor. Snipers picked off individual soldiers from impossible distances. How are they doing this? Voss demanded as casualty reports flooded in. Their weapons are primitive. Their armor is barely protection at all. They are fighting from prepared positions, Drahl explained. Every approach to their cities is trapped and defended. They have been planning for this attack. The ground battle became a nightmare for the hegemony forces. Human soldiers appeared and disappeared like ghosts, striking from unexpected angles before vanishing into underground tunnels. They used their knowledge of local terrain to set ambush that devastated alien patrols. They coordinated with civilian populations who provided intelligence and supplies. Sir, the humans are using chemical weapons, Cray reported. They are releasing toxic gas that affects our respiratory systems. And electromagnetic weapons, Drahl added. They are jamming our communications and disrupting our equipment. Voss felt something he had never experienced before: doubt. The conquest was supposed to be simple. Land, destroy resistance, accept. Surrender. But the humans were not following the script. They were fighting with a desperation and creativity that the hegemony had never encountered. Pull back the ground forces, Voss ordered. Resume orbital bombardment. We will destroy their cities from space. But when the fleet tried to target human population centers, they found their sensors being jammed by unknown technology. The humans had somehow developed countermeasures that made precision strikes impossible. When the aliens fired blind, their plasma bolts struck empty buildings that had been evacuated hours earlier. Sir, we are intercepting human communications, Cray reported. They are evacuating their cities through underground transportation systems. They were prepared for orbital bombardment. Voss stared at the tactical display in disbelief. The humans had anticipated every move that hegemony would make. They had prepared countermeasures for weapons they had never seen before. They were fighting a war they could not win, but they were fighting it better than anyone had expected. How many casualties have we taken? Voss asked quietly. Significant, Cray replied. We have lost 47 fighters, 6 ground vehicles, and over 300 soldiers. Human losses are estimated at less than half that number. The commander felt his confidence cracking. In every previous conquest, the hegemony had overwhelmed the enemy with superior technology and numbers. But the humans were not being overwhelmed. They were adapting, learning, and fighting back with increasing effectiveness. "Sir," Drall said urgently, "we are detecting new energy signatures from the planet. The humans appear to be powering up weapons we have never seen before." The war for Earth had begun, and already it was not going according to plan. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Thompson studied the holographic display showing the battle raging across Earth. The underground command center buzzed with activity as officers from every nation worked side by side, their old rivalries forgotten in the face of extinction. Radio chatter filled the air as field commanders reported on engagements from every continent. "The aliens are regrouping near Chicago," reported Colonel Martinez, pointing to red dots on the tactical map. "They seem confused by our hit-and-run tactics." Thompson nodded grimly. The Unified Defense Plan had been in development for decades, triggered by the first detection of alien signals from deep space. Every major power had contributed resources and knowledge, creating a network of hidden bases, weapons, and communication systems that the aliens had never detected. "Dr. Williams, what do you have for me?" Thompson asked the elderly scientist who approached the command table. "We have been analyzing the wreckage from the alien fighters," Williams replied, adjusting his glasses. "Their technology is advanced, but it follows predictable patterns. They rely too heavily on energy shields and automated systems. Their weapons are powerful but have limited targeting capabilities. The breakthrough had come when a damaged alien fighter crashed in the Nevada desert. Within hours, human engineers were taking it apart, studying every component and circuit. They discovered that the aliens had developed their technology along different lines than humanity, creating both strengths and weaknesses. Their shields can stop our conventional weapons," Williams continued, "but they are vulnerable to electromagnetic pulses and rapid-fire projectiles. Their energy weapons are devastating at long range but less effective in close combat." Thompson absorbed this information while watching the battle reports. Human forces were holding their own, but barely. The aliens still had overwhelming numbers and superior technology. What humanity had was something the invaders had never encountered: the ability to adapt and improvise under pressure. "Sir, we are receiving reports from the European theater," announced Lieutenant Kim. "French resistance fighters have captured an alien ground vehicle. They are requesting immediate technical support." "Send a team," Thompson ordered. "We need to understand their ground technology as well." Across the globe, similar scenes were playing out. In the ruins of Tokyo, Japanese engineers worked frantically to reverse engineer alien energy weapons. In the Amazon rainforest, Brazilian soldiers used their knowledge of jungle warfare to ambush alien patrols. In the Arctic, Canadian forces employed extreme weather conditions to disable alien equipment. The aliens had expected to fight a conventional war against a unified enemy. Instead, they faced thousands of small groups using different tactics, weapons, and strategies. Every time the hegemony forces adapted to one threat, 3 new ones appeared. "The aliens are trying to establish a forward base in Australia," reported Captain O'Brien. "But the local population is refusing to cooperate. They are sabotaging supply lines and passing intelligence to our forces." Thompson smiled grimly. The aliens had made a crucial mistake. They had assumed that conquering Earth meant defeating its military forces. They had not understood that they were fighting an entire species that refused to accept defeat. "Williams, how long before we can field weapons based on their technology?" Thompson asked. "We already have prototypes," Williams replied. "Our manufacturing capabilities are limited, but we can produce small numbers of enhanced weapons. The key is combining their energy systems with our projectile technology. The first hybrid weapons were crude but effective. Human soldiers began carrying rifles that fired projectiles accelerated by alien energy systems. The bullets could penetrate alien armor and overwhelmed their shields through sheer volume of fire. It was not elegant, but it worked. "Sir, we are receiving a priority transmission from the Pacific Fleet," announced Communications Officer Park. "They report alien ships attempting to establish underwater bases." "Underwater?" Thompson frowned. "They did not expect us to fight in the oceans." The alien strategy was becoming clear. They were trying to secure areas where human resistance would be minimal. But they had underestimated humanity's ability to fight in every environment. Submarine forces engaged alien vessels in underwater battles while surface ships coordinated with land-based forces. "The aliens are showing signs of confusion," observed Colonel Martinez. "Their command structure appears to be breaking down. They are making tactical errors that suggest poor communication." Thompson studied the alien fleet positions. The hegemony ships were spread out across Earth's orbit, trying to provide support to ground forces on multiple continents. But their coordination was suffering as human forces jammed their communications and created false signals. "They are used to fighting enemies who think like them," Thompson realized. "They expect logical, predictable responses. When we do something unexpected, they do not know how to react." The pattern was becoming clear in battles worldwide. Alien forces would establish positions using standard military doctrine, then find themselves under attack from directions they had not considered. Human forces used civilian infrastructure, natural terrain, and improvised weapons to create advantages that the aliens could not counter. "Sir, we have a report from the Moscow defense zone," Kim announced. "Russian forces have successfully captured an alien communications device. They are attempting to decode their command frequencies." "Excellent," Thompson replied. "If we can understand their communication protocols, we can disrupt their coordination even more effectively." The psychological warfare was proving as important as the physical battles. Human forces broadcast propaganda messages in alien languages, spreading confusion and doubt among enemy ranks. They created false signals that led alien forces into ambush. They used their understanding of psychology to exploit weaknesses in alien behavior. "The aliens are requesting reinforcements from their fleet," reported Captain O'Brien. "But their orbital positions are becoming vulnerable to our surface-to-space weapons." The moment Thompson had been waiting for was approaching. The alien ground forces were struggling with guerrilla warfare they had never encountered. Their fleet was exposed and confused. The time was coming to shift from defense to offense. "Prepare. Phase 2 of the defense plan," Thompson ordered. "Begin targeting their orbital positions with everything we have." Around the world, hidden weapons systems powered up. Electromagnetic railguns emerged from camouflaged positions in mountain ranges. Missile batteries that had been buried for decades prepared to fire. Laser installations that the aliens had never detected began charging their energy systems. The humans had been preparing for this moment since the first alien signals were detected. Every major power had contributed resources and knowledge to create a coordinated defense system. The aliens had seen only what humanity wanted them to see: a divided, primitive species with outdated weapons. "Sir, all defense systems report ready," Kim announced. "We are prepared to begin coordinated strikes against the alien fleet." Thompson took a deep breath. The survival of humanity depended on the next few hours. The aliens still had superior technology and numbers, but they had underestimated the human capacity for adaptation, cooperation, and sheer stubborn refusal to surrender. "All units, this is General Thompson," he announced over the global communication network. "Execute Phase 2. Show them what humanity can do when we fight as one." Across the planet, the hidden weapons of Earth revealed themselves and began to fire. The night sky above Earth erupted in brilliant flashes of light as hidden weapons systems across the planet opened fire simultaneously. From the Himalayas to the Andes, from the Arctic to the Sahara, electromagnetic railguns launched projectiles at incredible speeds toward the alien fleet. The carefully coordinated barrage caught the hegemony forces completely off guard. "Commander." Voss felt his flagship shudder as dozens of projectiles slammed into its shields. The defensive barriers flickered and sparked under the unexpected assault. Around him, alien officers rushed between control panels as damage reports flooded in from across the fleet. "Impossible," Voss muttered, watching the tactical display. "Those weapons should not exist. Our intelligence showed no such capabilities." "Sir, we are taking heavy damage," Lieutenant Cray reported, his voice strained. "The human weapons are firing in coordinated patterns that are overwhelming our shield systems." The humans had learned from their earlier encounters. Instead of firing randomly, they were targeting specific points on alien ships with multiple weapons simultaneously. The concentrated fire was breaking through energy barriers that had withstood the weapons of dozens of other worlds. "Return fire on all surface targets," Voss ordered. "Destroy their weapon installations." But when the alien ships tried to target the human weapons, they found empty positions. The railguns were mounted on mobile platforms that moved after each shot. The laser installations were hidden in caves and tunnels that made them nearly impossible to hit from orbit. The humans had learned to fight like ghosts, striking from concealment and disappearing before retaliation could reach them. "Sir, we have more immediate problems," Science Officer Drell announced. "The humans are jamming our communications with some kind of adaptive signal. They appear to be learning our communication protocols in real time." In the command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Williams monitored the progress of the cyber warfare team. The captured alien communication device had provided the key to understanding their command network. Human programmers were now injecting false signals into the alien fleet, creating confusion and disrupting their coordination. "The aliens are starting to fire on each other," reported Technical Specialist Lopez, grinning at his computer screen. "Their command system is interpreting our false signals as orders from other ships." General Thompson watched the orbital battle with growing satisfaction. The alien fleet was beginning to break apart as individual ships lost contact with their commanders. Some vessels were retreating to safer positions while others continued firing at empty targets. The overwhelming coordination that had made the hegemony so effective was crumbling. "Sir, we are receiving reports from ground forces worldwide," announced Captain O'Brien. "Allied units are beginning counterattacks against alien positions." The shift in momentum was felt across the globe. Human forces that had been fighting defensive battles for hours were now going on the offensive. Using captured alien weapons and reverse-engineered technology, they began pushing back against the invaders. In the Australian outback, Aboriginal trackers led combined forces through terrain that the aliens could not navigate. Their traditional knowledge of the land proved invaluable against an enemy that relied on technological superiority. The aliens found themselves lost in a landscape that seemed to shift and change around them. "The aliens are evacuating their forward base near Sydney," reported Colonel Peterson. "They appear to be retreating to their landing zones." Similar reports came in from every continent. The alien ground forces were pulling back, abandoning positions they had held for hours. The psychological impact of the orbital bombardment was combining with the effectiveness of human guerrilla tactics to break their morale. "Sir, we have successfully captured 3 intact alien fighters," announced Lieutenant Kim. "Engineering teams are already working to understand their propulsion systems." The breakthrough moment came when human engineers successfully activated a captured alien fighter. The pilot, a volunteer test pilot named Roberts, managed to get the craft airborne and functioning. Within minutes, he was engaging alien forces with their own technology. "This is incredible," Roberts radioed back to base. "Their ships are fast, but the control systems are designed for their psychology, not ours. I can make this thing do maneuvers they would never attempt." The human approach to aerial combat was completely different from alien tactics. Where the hegemony pilots flew in precise formations and followed established protocols, human pilots used intuition and improvisation. They pushed the captured fighters beyond their design limits, performing maneuvers that terrified alien observers. "Sir, we are detecting massive energy signatures from the planet," Cray reported to Commander Voss. "The humans appear to be powering up weapons we have never seen before." The final phase of the human defense plan was beginning. Deep beneath major cities, fusion reactors that had been built in secret were coming online. The energy they generated was being channeled into massive particle beam weapons that could reach orbital distances. Particle beams, Drow whispered, studying the energy readings. They have developed particle beam weapons. How is this possible? The answer lay in decades of international cooperation that the aliens had never detected. While they had been monitoring human military forces, they had missed the massive scientific collaboration that had been taking place underground. The greatest minds of Earth had been working together, sharing knowledge and resources to create weapons that could defend against advanced alien technology. Sir, the flagship is taking direct hits from surface-based particle beams, Cray reported. Our shields are failing. Commander Voss felt the deck plates beneath his feet vibrate as the massive ship absorbed energy blasts from the planet below. The humans had somehow developed weapons that could seriously damage hegemony vessels. The easy conquest was turning into a desperate battle for survival. All ships retreat to minimum safe distance, Voss ordered. We need to reassess the situation. But the humans were not finished. As the alien fleet tried to withdraw, they found themselves pursued by something they had never expected: human spacecraft. The captured alien technology had been rapidly integrated with human engineering, creating hybrid vessels that combined the best of both technologies. Sir, human ships are following us, Cray reported in disbelief. They are using our own propulsion systems, but modified somehow. The human pilots were pushing the alien technology far beyond its intended limits. They had stripped away safety systems and overcharged power plants, creating spacecraft that were dangerous to fly but incredibly effective in combat. The aliens watched in horror as their own technology was used against them with reckless creativity. They are not following standard space combat protocols, Drow observed. They are using tactics that would be suicidal for our pilots. The human approach to space combat was the same as their approach to everything else: adapt, improvise, and take risks that others would not consider. They used their spacecraft like weapons, ramming alien vessels and sacrificing their own ships to achieve strategic objectives. Sir, we are receiving a transmission from the planet, Cray announced. It appears to be from their military command. The holographic display showed General Thompson standing in the underground command center, surrounded by officers from every nation on Earth. His expression was calm but determined. Commander Voss, Thompson said, somehow knowing the alien leaders. Name, your invasion has failed. Withdraw your forces, or we will destroy every ship in your fleet. Voss stared at the human general in shock. How did they know his name? How had they learned to communicate directly with his ship? The humans had demonstrated capabilities that went far beyond anything in the intelligence reports. You cannot defeat us, Voss replied. We have conquered hundreds of worlds. But you have never fought humanity, Thompson responded. We do not surrender. We do not give up. We learn from every battle and become stronger. Leave now or face the consequences. The transmission ended, leaving Voss staring at an empty screen. Around him, the command center was filled with the sounds of damage control and retreat. The mighty hegemony fleet was being driven away from a primitive world by an enemy they had completely underestimated. Sir, what are your orders? Cray asked. Quietly, Voss looked at the tactical display showing the chaos of the battle. Human weapons were tearing through his fleet while hybrid spacecraft harassed his retreating ships. The easy conquest had become a nightmare. Continue the retreat, he said finally. But this is not over. We will return with reinforcements. But deep in his heart, Voss knew that something had changed. The humans had shown them something the hegemony had never encountered, a species that became more dangerous the harder you fought them. The final battle began at dawn over the Pacific Ocean. The remaining hegemony ships had regrouped around their flagship, forming a desperate defensive formation as human forces closed in from all directions. The alien fleet, once numbering 300 vessels, had been reduced to fewer than 50 operational ships. General Thompson stood on the bridge of the newly constructed Earth defense ship Unity, a hybrid vessel that combined human engineering with captured alien technology. Around him, officers from every nation worked together with perfect coordination, their differences forgotten in the face of humanity's greatest test. "All squadrons report ready," announced Commander Davis, the ship's captain. "Human and hybrid. Fighters are in position. Surface batteries are locked on target." Through the view screen, Thompson could see the alien flagship surrounded by its remaining escorts. The massive ship was damaged but still dangerous, its weapon systems charging for a final desperate attack. "Open a channel to the alien commander," Thompson ordered. "Let me speak with Voss." The holographic projector activated, showing the interior of the alien command center. Commander Voss appeared on screen, his scaled features showing exhaustion and disbelief. Behind him, alien officers worked frantically at damaged control panels. "General Thompson," Voss said, his voice carrying a note of grudging respect, "you have fought well for a primitive species. But this ends now. We will not be defeated by inferior beings." "Your ships are surrounded," Thompson replied calmly. "Your ground forces have been eliminated or captured. Your fleet is broken. Surrender now, and we will allow your surviving crews to return to your space." Voss stared at the human general through the projection. In all his years of conquest, he had never been offered terms by a defeated enemy. The concept was alien to him. "We do not surrender," Voss declared. "The hegemony has never been defeated. We will fight until the last ship is destroyed." "Then you will die for nothing," Thompson said sadly. "Your people sent you to conquer an easy target. Instead, you found an enemy that will not yield. How many more of your soldiers must die for your pride?" The question struck Voss like a physical blow. He thought of all the young officers under his command, beings who had families and futures waiting for them in distant star systems. They had come to Earth expecting glory and conquest. Instead, they had found only death and defeat. "All human forces, commence final attack," Thompson ordered. "Disable their weapons, but try to preserve their crews." The battle was brief but decisive. Human fighters, now using perfected alien technology, swarmed over the remaining hegemony. Ships. The hybrid vessels moved with impossible speed and agility, their human pilots pushing the technology beyond its design limits. Surface-based weapons fired in perfect coordination, targeting alien ship systems with surgical precision. One by one, the alien vessels went dark as their power systems failed. The humans had learned to disable rather than destroy, recognizing that knowledge was more valuable than vengeance. Within an hour, the entire remaining fleet was drifting powerless in Earth's orbit. "Sir, the alien flagship is requesting permission to surrender," Davis reported. "They are prepared to discuss terms." Thompson felt a moment of triumph, but it was tempered by the cost of victory. Thousands of humans had died defending their world. Cities had been damaged. The planet would never be the same. "Grant them permission to come aboard," Thompson said, "but maintain full security." An hour later, Commander Voss stood in the Unity's conference room, flanked by human guards. He had removed his weapons and insignia, accepting the role of prisoner with dignity that impressed his captors. "You fought well," Thompson said, gesturing for Voss to sit. "Your tactics were sound, your technology was superior, but you made one critical error." "What error?" Voss asked, genuinely curious. "You assumed we would fight like you," Thompson replied. "You expected us to meet force with force, to follow conventional military doctrine. You did not understand that humans fight differently when our survival is at stake." Voss nodded slowly. "We studied your military history. We saw your wars, your tactics, your weapons. We thought we understood your capabilities." "You studied how humans fight other humans," Thompson corrected. "But you never saw how we fight when facing extinction. You never understood that our greatest strength is not our technology or our weapons. It is our refusal to accept defeat." The alien commander sat in silence, processing this information. Around the table, human officers from different nations watched him with expressions of curiosity rather than hatred. "How did you coordinate so effectively?" Voss asked. "Our intelligence showed that your species was divided into competing factions. We are Thompson admitted. But when threatened from outside, we unite. Every nation on Earth contributed to our defense. We shared technology, resources, and knowledge without reservation. You were not fighting individual countries. You were fighting all of humanity? And your weapons, Voss continued. How did you develop such advanced technology so quickly? Dr. Williams, who had been listening quietly, leaned forward. We have been preparing for this possibility for decades. When we first detected alien signals from deep space, we knew contact was inevitable. We used that time to develop countermeasures for every type of weapon system we could imagine. But more importantly, Williams continued, we learned from you. Every piece of your technology that we captured, we studied and improved. We took your weapons and made them better. We took your ships and made them faster. We combined your science with our creativity. Voss felt a chill run through his body. You reverse-engineered our technology during the battle? Within hours, Thompson confirmed. That is what humans do. We adapt, we learn, we overcome. Your technology was advanced, but it was designed by beings who think in predictable patterns. We think differently. The truth was becoming clear to Voss. The hegemony had conquered hundreds of worlds, but they had always faced enemies who fought conventionally. They had never encountered a species that could adapt and innovate during combat itself. Your people, Voss said slowly, they are not like others we have met. No, Thompson agreed. We are not. Most species in the galaxy appear to develop along similar lines. They achieve space travel, they colonize nearby worlds, they build empires. But they become predictable, they follow established patterns. Humans are different, Dr. Williams added. We evolved on a world that tried to kill us in 1,000 different ways. We learned to survive by being unpredictable, by adapting faster than our environment could change. Voss thought about this revelation. The hegemony had conquered worlds populated by beings who were logical and methodical. When faced with superior force, they calculated their chances and surrendered when defeat was certain. The humans had continued, fighting even when victory seemed impossible. What happens now? Voss asked. Will you execute us? Thompson shook his head. We are not conquerors. We will repair your ships and allow you to return to your space, but you will carry a message to your hegemony. What message? That Earth is under human protection, Thompson said firmly. We will not be conquered. We will not be enslaved. Any force that attacks our world will be destroyed. You would fight the entire hegemony? Voss asked in disbelief. If necessary, Thompson replied. But I do not think it will come to that. You have seen what happens when humans are pushed to fight for survival. Your leaders will see the recordings of this battle. They will understand that conquering Earth would cost more than any possible gain. Voss nodded grimly. The hegemony had always been practical in their conquests. They attacked worlds they could defeat easily and avoided those that would be too costly to subdue. Earth had just moved into the second category. There is something else, Thompson continued. Your presence here has changed us. We now know we are not alone in the universe. We know there are threats beyond our solar system. We will be preparing for them. You will expand into space, Voss realized. Eventually, Thompson confirmed, but not as conquerors. We will explore, we will learn, and we will defend ourselves and others who cannot defend themselves. The implications struck Voss like a hammer blow. The humans were not content to simply defend their world. They would become a spacefaring civilization themselves, bringing their unpredictable nature and adaptive abilities to the galaxy. Your leaders should know, Thompson said quietly, that humanity remembers its friends and its enemies. The hegemony attacked our world without provocation. We will not forget that. But we are also capable of forgiveness if you choose a different path. 3 days later, the surviving hegemony ships departed Earth's solar system, their hulls scarred and their crews humbled. Commander Voss carried with him detailed recordings of the battle and a message for the hegemony leadership. General Thompson watched the alien ships disappear into the void from the observation deck of the Unity. Around him, Engineers were already working on plans for humanity's first interstellar vessels, designed with lessons learned from both victory and captured technology. Do you think they will return? Commander Davis asked. Not to conquer, Thompson replied. But they will be watching us. The galaxy has just learned that humanity exists and that we are not to be underestimated. In the depths of space, Commander Voss prepared his report for the Hegemony Council. He would tell them of a species that fought like demons when cornered, that learned and adapted faster than any enemy they had ever faced. He would recommend that Earth be left alone, that humanity be allowed to develop without interference. But he would also warn them that the galaxy had changed. A new player had entered the cosmic arena, one that followed none of the established rules. The humans had shown that superior technology was not enough to guarantee victory. They had proven that the will to fight and the ability to adapt could overcome seemingly impossible odds. The age of easy conquest was over. The galaxy would never be the same. On Earth, humanity began to prepare for its next chapter. They had won their first war against an alien enemy, but they knew it would not be their last. The universe was vast and full of dangers, but it was also full of opportunities. And humanity had always been good at making the most of opportunities. The stars were calling, and Earth was ready to answer.